What's going on, everybody? Welcome back to the only podcast produced by three two-time winners of IMSA Spirit of the Race Award. You're listening to the Check Engine Podcast. We are hosted on Spotify and we are streamed worldwide on all your favorite podcasting platforms. My name is Nick. Joining me as usual are my two favorite co-hosts. Andrew is here. Tristan is also here.
Tristan is here.
Tristan here. Hey guys, you say things now.
Okay. Hello. It's been a while. Each of us is dealing with life, I think, as we would put it. You know what? I think that I definitely got COVID a couple months ago to this point, or at least a month and a half ago. I've been sick as a fucking dog, like sleeping in the middle of the day. This last week I got a new computer and some parts in for someone at work, and emailed them, and they went, "Oh, I didn't know I was getting new stuff," and I have no fucking idea who I ordered them for.
Well, if it's not yours, whose is it?
But now I basically have to give it to them. So I even wrote a note, and it's just wholly the wrong name. So clearly I was just not in a frame of mind to be trying to go to work.
Or make decisions.
Anyways, I've just been totally sick, just an awful time.
I'm sorry to hear that. You don't sound bad for what it's worth. It doesn't sound.
Now I think I'm better, but it's been 7 or 8 weeks to this point.
Jesus,
it's been brutal. Yeah, it hasn't been great.
Well, glad to hear you're coming out the other side.
Well, as I was commiserating with my now relatively close neighbor Nick, I've picked up an entire second full-time job owning a home. So,
yeah, you did.
That's been basically my entire existence since we last recorded.
Badass. Is it? I mean, rate it. Is it good? You like it? You having a good time?
I love the house. I do not like owning a house. Not yet. Nope. I could very happily just say, "Oh, hey, you actually don't own a house. This is actually someone's house you've been working at for a month. Here's all the money."
Sure, I guess.
Jessica would be very sad to hear that. But we talked about that. We'll get there. We assembled my new desk today, and actually cooked dinner here, and that went a long way to making it feel more like a place that I will live one day instead of someone's house that I'm working on for them. So, it'll get there.
It's different when you actually get to sleep in the place that you own.
That's
yes.
True. I was telling you that earlier today, Tristan. Claire and I were kind of in the same boat earlier this year where we got the keys like a month before we actually moved in. And it was like every day, take a load of crap from the old place to the new place, accomplish a task or two, paint this wall, fix this faucet. And it's just until you actually get there and start sleeping in it in a couple days, it is kind of a drag, but it gets better.
Exactly. It will improve. Currently, I can kind of take or leave it, but I know it will get better, and I do love the property itself. So,
it's a really
still
nice
overall
place.
Very excited.
Good.
I'm recording from new studio adjacent because I haven't put carpet in it yet. So I'm in my
yeah. Okay. I was wondering a little bit where you were. I mean, man, it's been so long. I think if I'm remembering correctly, Meg pointed this out to me, Nick. Last time you made mention of an incident with Claire, and a second person in the car, but I don't think you made an announcement as to who that second person is.
Really?
I don't think so. Am I wrong, Tristan? Meg pointed out to me. She's like, I don't think you actually said anything.
I can't keep track of it anymore.
Well, I could be wrong. I've been known to be wrong about these things before, but that's why it's not coming from me. It's why it's coming from someone who's significantly more reliable than me.
Well, yeah, in case we haven't mentioned it officially on the podcast, the podcast family is going to be growing in March. So,
hey!
yeah.
Ah, that's right. Fuck yeah, the soundboard.
Soundboard.
Yeah. So thanks, guys. We just passed the halfway mark last week in the pregnancy. So we did
Damn, man.
the Instagram worthy half baked pictures with with the Ben and Jerry's half baked ice cream pint and all that kind of stuff. So
Yep.
we never did like a social media Facebook or whatever like pregnancy announcement.
Sure.
Like we told the people we wanted to tell as we would see them or talk to them or whatever. And we realized that actually wasn't that many people because we did post the half baked thing and it just like blew up. It was one of the most interacted with posts that either of us have ever done, obviously, because it's good news and everyone wants to get in on it. But like, there's so many people who are like, I had no idea. Congratulations. It's like, oh, we didn't tell you.
where were you keeping this for 4 months, right?
Yeah.
Sorry, Grandma.
Yeah, whoops. But everybody knows now. There's no excuses. So yeah, the only person on planet Earth who knows the gender is the ultrasound tech who did the anatomy scan.
Wow, you're not finding out?
We're not finding out. We don't want to know
Wow.
until we meet him or her. What we do
That's
know,
pretty cool.
we have names picked out either way. We're ready to go. We do know from the anatomy scan, thankfully, everything is on schedule. Everything is as it's supposed to be. All fingers and toes and everything, and like it's perfectly healthy so far. So, super excited for March to roll around. And this is a
So,
weird thing to be excited about, Andrew. But
what do you mean?
no, this part of the whole process.
Let him finish
Oh,
gagging
okay.
first.
Let me no, not being a
Bruh.
dad. Being a dad is not weird to be excited about. This part of it is, but is one of the first things that I started thinking about, like after it all kind of settled into like, yes, this is happening. As a basketball fan, I'm on paternity leave during March Madness.
Oh, well.
So,
I mean, you nailed it. You nailed the dismount. There you go.
Timing couldn't be better. Baby in one hand, bracket in the other, posted up in front of a TV all day. Let's go.
The newborn thing is pretty sweet. It's pretty cool. Although I will say, I mean, depending on everyone's a little different. In my experience, you're basically useless. There's not really a damn thing you can do.
I've
Like,
been
you
hearing
change
about
a
that.
diaper, you're mostly like you're the pit crew, you know what I mean? And you do that, whatever that thing is, go do that thing.
Yeah.
A fresh diaper and a splash and dash.
Yeah, exactly. 100%. 100%.
Yeah, you're not the first person who said that, Andrew. I know that I'm going to, at least when the delivery is taking place and then shortly thereafter, whether it's in the hospital or back at home, I'm going to be bouncer,
Yeah. Oh
controlling
yeah.
who gets in and out, and having those tough discussions with people who want to jump in right away. But
You're not on the list, bro. Sorry.
exactly. Like, hey.
Oh, actually, we were still under COVID protocols, so
It was super easy for you guys.
Yeah.
No one gets in ever.
Nope.
Yeah.
Nope.
I can't blame the government. It's gonna...
I had to be buzzed in every time, all that type of thing. Well, tell me this, Nick. Did your ultrasound tech do this to you? So you do an ultrasound and like, oh yeah, baby looks good and whatever. Also, no twins, Dad. And I was like, oh shit. I forgot that was a thing. I forgot that was a possibility until this very moment. Until you just told me that.
No, she did
I
not.
guess that was the first. That was the first ultrasound, whenever that is. You guys are halfway through.
Yes, the very first ultrasound, which we did a couple months ago now, when it was the size of a grain of rice, and like
Yeah.
they're like, oh yeah, here it is on the image, and like it was just like a dot. You really couldn't make anything out.
You're like, yeah.
There it is. And they're like, yep, not two dots, just one. So
See, yeah.
like,
Okay.
okay.
It did not occur to me as a possibility at all.
It actually occurred to me, like,
Ah,
before the
come on, man.
ultrasound, I was getting nervous. Like, I don't know what I'm doing with one. If we get two right out of the gate, I am screwed. Like,
Yeah, it do be like that.
but
But then, depending on how many you're looking for, you're done.
True.
So
Also
that
I
is
true.
the
mean,
flip side.
yeah.
Two was the number we were talking about, so that could. But no, this is one. He or she is healthy, and we'll just keep it that way. We've got Claire's the last week of her second trimester, so basically the last week she can travel is the week of Thanksgiving.
Ooh,
So we're flying out to Las Vegas. My parents have a place out there for the winter, so we're going to go spend Thanksgiving in Vegas with my parents, and then we're going to hunker down and get ready for the baby.
man.
So
Oh, it's just gonna be great. It's gonna be so fun.
I'm
You're
looking
gonna have a
forward
blast.
to it. It's going to be, yeah. I'm really, really looking forward to this. Still trying to
Awesome. Well,
determine how that affects karting for next season, but
well.
definitely looking forward to being a dad.
Yeah, no, it's gonna be so great. You're gonna have a great time. And that whole time, just think about it. Well, I mean, is this gonna be a race like Tristan finishing his house before the baby is delivered? Like, is that the level we're on right now?
I don't think you can compare those two things because this is literally I can't finish the house until like sometime next summer because 2/3 of the work is landscaping.
Yeah, that's true. I suppose.
So we win
Yeah, just by default.
by default.
I'm gonna take first in my class. This is multi-class racing.
Oh shit. Oh, okay. Yeah, no, that's fair.
Tristan and Jessica win the landscaping
And
class.
I'm also gonna lose that because I'm also the last one to own a house. So
I
Well,
I
mean,
took
yeah, I
I
guess.
took second in uh, marriage prototype,
Yeah, that's true.
I took I took third in GT homeowner. But I have yet to even place in parenting car. So
The parenting car. I mean, well,
like
that goes
tour
back to
like
the
like touring car. So
yeah. Well, no, I'm just saying that just goes back to the minivan spec series that no one has been clamoring for all of time.
no, we've said that this needs to happen, and no one has tried to pick it up from us. So
Yeah, that's true.
just have to do it ourselves.
What a bummer.
Andrew, you've swept all of those classes, actually.
Uh
Marriage, kid, and house.
that's true. That's true. But what you got to remember is that none of those decisions were driven by me.
You were the co-driver.
Exactly.
He's the
Exactly.
AM driver.
Yeah. No, 100%. And that's why that's the value of having a good pro.
Totally.
Now you
Just
see.
carried you to the finish line.
Right. Yeah. It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter what I do. Go out there and with my 5 laps and put in the several minutes over the average time.
Just don't wreck it. Just don't wreck it. Turn
Right.
it over
Yeah, exactly. Just
to the
don't wreck it.
pro with all four
Shiny side
corners
up, and then hand
still
it
on
back to the pro.
Uh-huh.
it. Well, what are we actually here to talk about now that we've been going for almost 15 minutes?
Well, shit. Oh, okay. All right. Well, I'll start with this. In the time that we've been gone, Nick has been just doing things. He's a man who does a lot of things. Things of import, things of impact felt across the world. But we'll get to that later. For now, let me remind listeners what we were talking about. The last time we did an episode, I tried to have Tristan and Nick help me frame a thought that I had. And I feel like I can be trusted with this opinion because I think that I'm reasonably objective about the appearance of my own cars. The Elantra thought it was kind of ugly, but with some wheels on it, it was improved. Veloster, liked the car, loved the car, thought it was ugly. I think Tristan probably thought it was better looking than I did at the time.
It took me
And
a while to come around to it, but I really did. By
yeah,
the time you'd owned it for like a year, I was like, yeah, you know what? This actually looks pretty good.
and I kind of feel or felt the same way about my Elantra, the N-Line. The previous gen Elantra had the weird like triangle lights and just what it was really ugly, kind of bizarre looking. Then when Hyundai put out what is now the previous generation, the one that I have, it still has the triangular lights, but it was like, oh, okay, they did the previous design to get to this one. It felt like the evolution, the correct evolution. It looks all right, it looks pretty darn good. But as I've owned the car, uh, it kind of hit me that in the class of that car, which would be compact sedan, so again, adjusting for era, right? That would be sort of like a 90s ish mid size. There's a lot of flux in the actual size of the car, but for whatever that is, a moderately sized passenger sedan, I think the Elantra N-Line specifically, that specific trim, is the best looking car of that size in all of history. And I think
It's a bold statement.
it's a very bold statement. And the decision that we came to, a fun way to do this, would be to pull some challengers and go king of the hill. Just straight at it, 1-to-1. Is this better? Why? Three of us, majority takes it. And I think that's what we're going to do. But the math has shifted. And I don't know, Nick, if you want to do this now or if you want to do it at the end and just whoever's at the hill then goes against the newcomer. That would be up to you.
Like, we almost make it like WWE style, where like all of a sudden the lights go out and the surprise challenger enters the room.
That's right. You get to be the Undertaker if you
Yeah,
want.
it's always Undertaker.
Always.
It's always Undertaker. Or The
Always
Rock now.
Undertaker.
Weirdly, it's The Rock now. Now you're not surprised when The Rock shows up.
I mean, so yeah, it's totally up to you. That was the idea I had in adjustment. Or if you want to go the other way, we can do it right away and just go head to head at first and move on with the King of the Hill from there.
No, let's save it. Let's save it till the
All
end.
right. Okay.
For those of you who pay keen attention to all of our socials, the cat might have slipped out of the bag, but
That's true. Most people should already know. However,
but we'll save it. We'll save it to the end of this. We'll dive into right now. Andrew's Elantra N-Line is the king of the hill, and
right.
let's start bringing some challengers in.
So here's what I'll say. Let me explain what I mean about this being not only the best looking version of this Elantra, but the best looking car of this size. So for me, I don't even particularly love the color I have because they want it to be orange, lava orange, they call it. It's basically red unless you park next to a red car, which is kind of annoying. They have way better oranges. Anyways, the things that I like about this car in terms of appearance all come down to a combination of aggressive styling choices over the base model and restraint. So white, I think, is a great color for this car. The blue, I think, is really good. There's like a gray, not even a silver, but like a grayish that I think looks really awesome. And there's a completeness to me to the oddly shaped grille, kind of trapezoidal, but ending in the lights that blend up into the hood, but not in the juke way. They kind of wrap around the side. So I think from the front profile the front and the side profiles, like front quarter profiles, it's a really aesthetically pleasing nose. But one thing that Hyundai's had a problem doing is designing both the front and the back of a car simultaneously. And I think they actually nailed it with the N-Line, specifically because of the stormtroopery shape of the rear light. So at night, the running light in the rear runs from the rear corners, it kind of angles down and across the back. It looks sick as hell. And lighting it up just kind of shows the angle, almost like, kind of like the corners of the Batman wing logo. You know what I mean? Like lights up the lower corners. But there's not too much light thrown across the back, which I think is a problem that some Hyundai models have had. And I think for me, critically, with the N-Line, the restraint comes in with the spoiler, which I think is both a massive improvement over the base models that don't have a spoiler, and it's not too boy racery. I think the one thing that could have been improved, I don't like the dual exhaust on one side. but I think that's kind of a niggling little complaint. I also would love if they kind of shaped a diffuser on the rear of the car. There's a spot for a triangle racing style stoplight. They really should have just put one in there like that. If you're gonna shape that, then do the thing and put the light in there. But really, I think there's nothing here that's overdone. I don't think there's much that's underdone, and I even think looking straight on from the side of the car, they did that. Well, I guess you can call it signature. Hyundai has a specific name for the line that runs across the hip of the car and then breaks. They do it on a
Yes.
ton of their cars. I forget exactly what they call it, but that design aesthetic can have problems, but I don't think they exist in this car because of the overall shaping of the car from the front of the hood, where the front spoiler lip is, all the way to the back. The whole car is, I mean, the car itself is not, super triangular, but the design of the car suggests that it looks more aggressive than it actually does. When you're standing next to the car, it just looks like a sedan. But when you're looking at it from a front profile, especially coming around a corner, it looks like just looks like an air blade coming at you. It looks absolutely sick. And I think it's just good. It's really, really, really good. The crazy thing is, after looking at a ton of cars in this segment from across history, there's really not even much competition. There are some exotics, some locals, but basically you get like from 95 forward, there's not much in the rest of history that's really even worth considering. And that's where we are. That is my starting point for this competition.
I I agree with a lot of that. I think we might be able to find some post 95 challengers, or at least I think I can, once we start rolling through some of these nominations that we had, we can make a pretty good case for a couple of them. But I do agree that from like the front to the back, top to bottom, however you want to word it, like it's the it's very well rounded in terms of its design. Even though like there's some different features going on, none of it seems out of place.
Right.
I they did really nail this one.
So, another thing happened in the interim, which won't impact this. Hyundai, in the last time since we recorded, Hyundai has launched actual shots of the 24 Elantra N, which is like, I think it's better, but we're here. We're here for now. That's not even out yet. Doesn't count. All right.
Let's say, is the episode over? The
Yeah.
2024 Elantra N wins. Okay, we're done.
Well, but the problem is you haven't seen it on the road. This I have seen
know.
on the road.
I know.
Yeah, well, it probably would. But all right. I sent the list of cars to the guys, but I think the thing to do is start with something. Well, basically the twin, right? The main challenger, which would be the 11th gen Honda Civic Si. That's a car. So that's the current gen Si, which I think looks great. I think it looks awesome, but I think it looks too plain. I think this looks too much like a regular Civic, which is something that Honda has had a problem with SIs in the past.
I was looking at some of the other, we'll get to them in their own turn completely, but there are a few SIs on this list, and looking at all of those, that's been the problem I've had with all of them. I think we see some things that are overdone, overwrought, but I feel like the SI is one of those things that is almost too understated. And we've discussed both visually, which is what we're talking about, and
Mm-hmm.
also performance wise too. We talked about in the past, it's like it doesn't differentiate itself enough.
Interestingly, though, with the current gen SI race car, that looks amazing. That thing all tricked out looks incredible. It's just, give me a little more here. Give me a little more. That's my opinion anyway.
On the street, give me a little
Yeah, on
more.
the SI, yeah, just give me a little more there.
Yeah, I mean, I do agree on the 11th gen, the newest gen SI is that similar to the Elantra, it's complete, it's well rounded, it all seems to go together front to back, like that nothing seems out of place, but it does. If this is supposed to be your, affordable sporty car, whether someone steps up to the Type R or sticks with the SI, it's got to look a little sportier than it does. I honestly think the 10th gen SI from 2017 to 2020 is a better looking vehicle and a better representation of that. I would almost propose that as the challenger to the Elantra N, and
Really, I
not
mean,
the
we can do both. Yeah,
and
absolutely. We
and
can do
not
the
the
10th as
Elantra
well.
N.
So I think the 11th's out of here, so we can talk about the 10. The thing I don't like
Well,
about
hold on. Did
oh,
any of the three of us say that the 11th gen, the newest SI, would
I don't
would
think
take out the Elantra
I'm a
N?
no.
Tristan?
No, I mean, I tend to think that, overall, the more the more understated a car's design, the better it holds up. And to me, that matters, but we're not doing that right now. We're looking at like what looks good right now. We're not going to try to judge it in 5 years. I think that
That's fair.
a lot of Hyundai's cars visually age more quickly, and it's not Hyundai alone. It's a lot of I think that the current Hondas and a lot of the current Toyotas are going to do the same thing. They've got a lot of bold statements that people may really like for a couple years, but then they're going to age quickly.
That's fair.
So it's a no on the 11th gen.
No on the 11th.
So what about the
But
10th?
I'm happy to talk about the 10th. The issue I have with the 10th gen Civic Si is how it. This is a really hard thing to explain. Is how it looks on the street. There's something with the 10th gen and the 9th gen, which I did have on the list, that looks I don't know. It looks blunted. It looks like it should be longer in the front, and as a result, it just kind of looks like it, like that gif of the manatee sailing into the aquarium wall, like that, like just like the hang. I don't know. I can't really describe it. That's the only thing I have to say about the 10th gen and the 9th gen. They're fine looking cars. It's just I want them to not have bonked into the. I want them to be longer. I don't know. It's a weird thing to explain.
Yeah, I love the if you to me to me the negative on this one is that the rear end, like the trunk area, looks like it should be stretched out a little more on the 10th gen. But from the front, when you look at that, like that front 3/4 shot or whatever, and you've
Mm-hmm.
got I'm looking at one right now. It's a white one. So you've got the black where the logo is and the SI, and it kind of wraps up under the hood to the front headlights. But below that, you've got like the strip of the colored body panel, and then where you've got those fog lights on the bottom,
Mm-hmm.
it wraps around that black, what must be like a plastic piece there that's around that fog light, but it doesn't come back and connect. Like there's a tiny little gap in there
Yeah.
when you get to the center of the front bumper, and just like that little attention to detail, I think it looks awesome from the front. It looks mean as hell. It looks aggressive as hell. It's like it's got almost like ram's horns on the lower right, lower left side of the front of the car. Um,
It's like super aggressive front splitters.
yes, it's
It's
I don't
almost a
know, guys.
winglets.
Almost like winglet, exactly. You guys are
Winglets. Yeah,
describing
yeah,
it.
yeah. Thank you. Yeah, winglets
You guys are
for
describing
sure.
it way better than I am. I don't know, guys. Like I'd put this. This is, to me, it's kind of a coin flip.
Go for it, man. Make your vote.
I'll say yes to the 10th Gen SI.
All right, Tristan.
It's so it's so close. I don't. I'm gonna say no just because of the tail end. Like they tried to put a hatchback on the back of a sedan, and like sometimes you can get a shooting brake kind of thing going, um, but I don't think that they. It doesn't feel like they finished the idea. Not like in a timeline fashion, quote unquote, from front to back. Like it just we often joke about like the Corvette was like, oh they were great and they didn't finish it. Not like that from a left to right, front to back kind of deal, but more just like they got 2/3 of the ideas down and they just didn't quite finish the idea of like a fastback, sportback kind of sedan. And so you mentioned it a little bit earlier, Nick. You're kind of left with just like a stubby trunk, and that's so
Yeah,
I'm gonna say no, but it's really close because I do really like the front of that car.
yeah, that's fair.
Well, Andrew, we know what your vote's going to be.
Obvious.
So Elantra N-Line survives.
So I mean, maybe we have a bunch here. Maybe there are some that we can kind of go through quickly because I think all of us would say the 10th gen Civic is better than the 9th gen Civic,
Yes, I would.
which I did have
Yes.
on here. Okay, all right, so we can get rid of the 9th gen Civic. There's one on here that I basically put on out of guilt because I had the Mazda Speed 3 on here immediately, but the Mazda Speed 3 never came in a sedan. It was only ever hatchback, so that doesn't
Right.
count. So I
Right.
had like that '09, that late aughts, early teens Mazda 3 on here, but that's not going anywhere.
No, I
That's
can't get over the you know smiley D emoticon front bumper.
yeah, that's not going anywhere. Tragic, but listen, Mazda, make a better car. Um, Here's one I'm interested in hearing some feedback from you guys on because I think rose tinted glasses in this car definitely has extremely dedicated fans who will say it's the best looking car in whatever. Very much an oddball, very unique car. The third generation Integra, the tiny little headlight one, the little dot headlight one.
um, what do you think, Tristan? I don't know. Let me look.
I like this because there's only been really one car ever that looks like this. It's so unique. It's so of its era. For me, where this car runs into problems is that this look, that dual headlight look, kills on the coupe, and it looks ridiculous on the sedan.
Yeah, I didn't even save a picture of this one because I looked at it and went, nope. That's why I was having trouble finding my. That's why I was having trouble finding my notes. But my notes just say third gen Integra, and the only note following that without an image is no, comma Lil Peepers.
Little Peter. I will say that. I'll say that to everyone. The Lil Peepers, they actually look really cool on the coupe. They just don't. They don't work on the sedan
They
I'll
look
for
only
love or
go as
money.
far as they look all right on the coupe, and like you said,
They'll look good.
part of their
Yeah.
time, yes, but meh,
it didn't age well looking back at it now.
no,
Like
Lil Peepers.
they do look really well, really okay on the Type R, but
Really,
not.
really okay.
Yeah, this is a pretty easy no for me.
You can't do it. All right. Okay. I mean, we can keep going on the same line. Let's see. What is the technical? Okay, so third gen Integra, tiny light. Fourth gen Integra has
Boring,
the
but like somebody snuck up behind it and surprised it.
correct. Yeah. So when you look up fourth gen Integra, you get pictures of the fifth gen, which is also on here. But anyways, we can deal with the fourth first. This is a car. Oh, sorry. Problem with the fourth gen, no sedan. I put in my notes here. No sedan for the fourth gen. So we have to go right to the fifth gen, which is the current gen Integra, which is probably a really, really really hard test because I love the way this car looks.
Yes.
It's gorgeous. The worst thing to say about it is it's just the baby big sedan, which is what Honda did Civic. Um, the problem is if this is what it is in real life, which is a Civic that looks amazing, that's really going to be fucking hard to beat. The only thing I'll point out is that the rear bumper from the top of the diffuser or lower rear bumper to the bottom of the headlights looks wrong. I don't know what it is. It just doesn't. It does not look right. That's the only thing I can say about it that has any negative connotation at all. It's just beautiful.
For me, the only thing that I don't, it's not super interesting to me. It's not overly visually interesting, except in one way that I don't like. Um,
Really?
like I'm all about side creases and everything, but it looks like but it looks like somebody was taking the clay model and using like that triangle shaped like clay shaping tool and accidentally like whoa and took a big chunk out of the side of it, and that's what they put on the doors.
Oh,
And I
like the
don't,
bottom of the door?
Yeah.
yeah, like the bottom of the door body crease looks like you hit something and then just repainted it.
The
I
Veloster
don't,
had that same thing.
yeah, I don't love that. It's a little bit much. But again, that's splitting hairs. Otherwise, I just don't find it super interesting. It's just a Civic to me. But
Huh. I did not expect that. Nick, what are your thoughts?
Well, Tristan kind of ruined the side for me now. I didn't really think.
you're welcome.
I didn't really think of it in that way at all, but now I can't unsee it. And now I like the only thing I'm going to picture when I see this thing when I'm alongside of it is some dude in the artist studio with the clay tool making a mistake. Oh, oops.
Whoops.
I mean, straight on the side. He's got a really good point there. It's too deep. They gouged it too deep.
You can't
Yes.
can't unsee it.
Yeah.
Like
From the
I
front,
even like the fact that it's not a simple single line. Like, you know, it's got more. It's more visually interesting than that, but it's just too much to look like it was done on purpose.
yeah, you might be right. I didn't. Yeah, no. From the front and the back, it's okay. Dead on the side, you're right. It's too deep.
The front quarter shot or the 3/4 shot, who I'm not a photographer, whatever they call that, looks really good. But when you just when you're looking at it exactly like perpendicular to you, I don't know. It looks so good from the front though.
Damn,
It
he
looks
really got
so
me on
good.
that. I can't believe this. I can't believe you've done this.
Tristan ruins everything.
Yeah, I mean, I guess that's the name of the game today, huh? I don't know.
And episode title.
Well, all right. So that one's out now.
It was in.
Thanks.
Pretty
Thanks,
strong.
Tristan.
Let's all right. Should we go for some high octane hard hitters here? Should we go for some stuff that is going to get all of the internet mad at us when we say it's less better looking than the Elantra?
Yes.
Something like
Yes.
a first gen WRX.
Yeah, I really don't like the first gen WRX.
Really?
I like the the bug eye one is, I mean, pretty iconic in just the uniqueness of it. Just in a vacuum, it's not great. But the one I really like, and I'm probably in the minority on this because I know, at least of the three of us, because it's not on Andrew's pre-show list here. It's the STI, the second facelift, like the 2006 version. I think looks awesome. I can try to send a picture
It's
in
the
in,
bubble eye,
Blobble eye.
I think.
Blob eye, bubble eye.
Blob
but it's
eye.
got
Blob eye or yeah.
and it's got
Blob eye.
the Subaru logo is like fully enclosed with like body panel. There's not like one
Right, and they're sort of triangular in the corners. The headlights, they're triangular in the internal corners, and then they kind of round out on the edges.
Yes.
Got it.
This is the Blob Eye 2003, 2006.
I'm going to send a
And
picture,
then
see if I can send this picture in the chat for you
the
guys.
Hawkeye
Oh,
is the 2006, but it was only 2006 to 7. So
1 year.
pretty minimal there. That's the one that I really like, the Hawkeye one. It was the year that they put the Subaru Tribeca front end on it, and it actually
Yes.
worked. And it actually worked, because it was a much smaller car. It didn't look as stupid on a little
Yeah,
car.
Well,
So
I mean,
I just put a link to the photo I was looking at in the chat if you guys want to see exactly which one I'm talking about.
Yeah.
I will say I do like the first gen one, but there's and then is it as good as the Elantra N or the N-Line Elantra? No, I mean I don't think it's bad. I like it because of its simplicity. Basically,
Yeah.
it's a '90s Japanese sedan, and like and it looks nice, but that's it.
And I think the really good looking one from first gen is the STI, which I don't think had a sedan. I think the STI was the coupe only, but that's the good one. That's got the fat hip, and
Yes.
that's the really good
Yes.
one. I think that might be
That's the one. I would love one of those.
There was one for sale actually, up by you guys. I've seen it driving around in the winter. It's like I don't know if he has it set up for racing or it just looks like that, but there was one for sale up there. Anyway,
What year?
So
What year was that? What year was that first gen WRX?
93 to 01.
Yeah, there's a 1996 WRX STI sedan for sale. Imported. That's why I don't know if we got the sedan.
Okay. All right, there we go.
Yeah. So it does exist that year, and you said any place, but that doesn't make it any
Absolutely.
better.
Yeah,
I
absolutely.
still it doesn't give the rear door doesn't give room for the body flare that makes the STI two-door really work.
True. Tragic. All right. No to the first gen. Should we just take the bug eye off in favor of the Hawkeye?
I would vote yes.
As far as I'm concerned, I like the Hawkeye more.
All right,
But
then we'll go with the Hawkeye. I'd forgotten about this one because
it only ran a year.
Yeah, it was only 1 year.
Yeah.
When I was looking at the third gen, I thought there were only two. I thought it was only Bug Eye, Blob Eye. I forgot about Hawkeye, and he's also the worst adventurer. So this one's tough, and I feel like this is not the toughest test yet. I think there's a bunch of other really hard ones coming up, but this one's tough. There are a lot of things about the Hawkeye to me that should not work, but do. And primarily, it starts with that Tribeca face, which shouldn't look good on anything because that car is a nightmare. Looks good here.
Yeah, they managed to make it work on a car this size.
Right. Immediately to the front quarter, that it's a straight line from the edge of the headlight all the way back to the door quarter panel with a huge bulge underneath. Shouldn't work. Works absolutely. Again to the back, the rear quarter panel goes from there's the same bulge from the middle of the rear door all the way to the back. Shouldn't work. Absolutely works. You've got a hood flare. You've got lines everywhere, gold rims, huge spoiler, these weird lumps in the back of the car. Don't know what those do, but it's great. It's totally great.
It shouldn't be, but it is.
Right. No.
And I think that that's the caveat. I think that it has no right to be as appealing as it is, but that's what's preventing it from still being the winner. Is because they put all this weird stuff on it, and it looks great considering it has all that weird stuff. But I think that's the little caveat at the end. Like I love it, It's the one. It's the classic WRX that I would buy, but I don't know if it's. I still don't know if it's better.
Was this the
I'd be convinced.
chronologically? This was the last in the line, right? This was what we evolved to. This is the Charizard of the third gen.
Yes.
Yeah. It's weird that they gave it 3 facelifts. So like the
That's
first
also the first year they put the 2.5 in it too.
Sure.
So it's not quite the same car, which is weird, but
Yeah, so don't you feel like it should be the third generation and not second generation third facelift? Just call it
yeah,
a new gen car.
yeah.
Right. Man. Nick, what do you think? This is actually really hard.
I actually this Tristan didn't ruin this one for me, but I think his point about like it shouldn't be great, like it, but it is, does kind of take away from it because it's almost
I
like they
have
felt.
one, or Andrew, you have one later in the list that I think checks all the same boxes but does it better.
Um,
Interesting. Okay.
the when Tristan said like none of this should be great, but it is. It it's almost like they fell into it by accident. It wasn't on purpose the way they did this. So for that, I'm gonna say no. Although it is close, just on looks. Just if you're just doing looks for looks, like it's
Agreed.
really
Look,
close.
yeah,
Yep.
completely. All right, then we'll keep that one a no. I think we can do something a little bit similar with Lancers because I have a bunch of Lancers on here because I love the Lancer, and I think we can collapse this waveform a little bit. I put the second gen on here, Evo 2. I don't think anyone's going to pick that over the next one, Evo 3.
I would
Correct.
agree. Third gen
Evo
is better than
two.
second.
Evo 2 is a little bit somebody put a spoiler on an economy car.
Yeah, you know, I know, yeah, and you never know what the Gran Turismo feels will do for a person. All right,
Right?
so here's the really hard one. Evo 3 is okay. I have immense personal attachment to the Evo 5, and I think this might be
Ding, ding, ding.
quite possibly the hard. This one's really hard. I think the Evo 5 beats the Evo 3 hands down. And then we can talk about the Evo 5. God,
Yes, and it beats the Evo 3 hands down, and that's what beats the Hawkeye WRX, in my opinion, too.
that's fair.
That does
Nick,
all the same stuff for me the WRX does without the how they managed to get that all to work factor. Like
yeah.
it's just like, yeah, that's how you build a car like that. Done.
It says like those fog lights down on the
Ooh.
bumper are so massive. Like this just says rally. Like that's
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
it's just so cool.
And there's no hood scoop, but there are hood louvers.
What's
Louvers.
funny about the Evo 5 is that, I mean, I'm thinking about seeing it. Which Gran Turismo has this been? Gran Turismo 2, possibly. I don't know if this was in 1. It might have been in 1. When you see this car for the first time, you understand innately that it's doing something that you wouldn't normally do in a car.
Mm-hmm.
Because otherwise, why the hell would it look like that? For anyone who happens to be not familiar with this car, if you see it one time, you will absolutely remember. Because actually, you know what? If we spin this design concept forward, when did this come out? 98 or something like that. If we spin this design concept forward into the 2020s, this was the proto Juke. All right, so you got headlights. Yeah, they're there, great. Then you got the actual headlights, giant fog lights in this case. They're probably 6 to 8 inches in diameter on each side.
and round on an
And
otherwise
round.
mostly
Very round.
rectangular or trapezoidal grill. They're the
Yeah,
only round thing on the front of that car.
it's just, it looks so silly. And in some forms of race car and in the street, people just put big plastic covers over them.
Mm-hmm.
That doesn't help, G. You still see right with like you still know what that is. It's so silly and it's beautiful and it's cool, and if from any time from the point of this car's inception to tomorrow and next year and 10 years from now, if you're caught in this car, someone seeing you in the presence of this vehicle will say, That's a cool guy
Or girl.
or girl. That's a cool homie. I want to be friends with
Cool
them.
person.
I want to know. I want to go where they're driving after this. That is the power of the looks of this car, and none of it should work because I think if you were to take it piece by piece, you'd say it's ugly, but it's not. It's glorious. That's a really hard test.
This
Damn.
is tough.
I think it's better. I think it's better. I think it's better.
I'm being me. I'm trying to find something wrong with it, but I really can't.
Yeah, unanimous.
Yeah. All right. We
Can
have a
we
new
do
king.
can we do an honorable mention though for
Sure.
the 10th gen? Like the last gen, the Evolution X.
Well, I was gonna bring that up next, but
Okay, let's do it.
yeah. New king, Lancer Evo 5, best sedan compact, whatever, best this size sedan. The
Ever.
next challenger can absolutely be the Evo 10, the farewell tour of the Evo. It just doesn't hit the same.
It's
It's
not
more
as
modern.
extreme. It's not as
No,
extreme. It almost depends on, do you like massive fog lights or littler ones?
you like little
Would
teeny
you
ones.
rather have massive fog lights or a massive visible intercooler?
Yeah, the visible
I think
intercooler.
it's a generational thing. I bet you
Oh man,
people, I mean, it is with all cars, right? I mean,
sure.
our grandfathers say that the 60s cars looks better than the stuff today, and but like I just feel like someone who's 19, you show them both, you show them the 5th gen and the 10th gen for the first time, they're going to pick the 10th every time, right?
I really don't know because of the wildness of the fifth. The thing I'll say about the 10th gen, which is a car that I always wanted,
It's so nice. It's not as
I
extreme, but it's so
no.
nice.
I'm worried at this point, and maybe it's because now I've seen too many on the street and they've been, as the last one, they've been around. Right now, we're just over the point where they've been around too long to have remained in their preserved state. And now they're all, at fifth, sixth, 15th owners and have been completely destroyed and degraded. I think the 10th gen might be a little bit cringe. And I think it starts with the intercooler. I think that the 10th gen has to try to do what the 5th gen did just because they want a good rally car.
Yeah,
Does that
it
make
was
sense?
almost like it was almost born as a badly modified car.
Right. To
I don't know.
me,
I'm not going to be as mean about it.
I guess maybe that's me. To
I
me, the
really do
10th
like
gen,
it.
yeah, the 10th gen doesn't beat the 5th gen to me.
What about you, Tristan?
I like the 5th gen more.
All right, there you go. Majority rules.
Let's see. What's some little cleanup duty here. Here's an interesting one. One that I almost felt I had to add by virtue of the fact that the GR Corolla does not qualify due to being a hatchback. And also, is that a four doors or just two? I don't remember. It doesn't matter. This is also a car that I genuinely think looks brilliant, and that would be the current gen, so 2024. I think that maybe 2023 as well. Corolla, but only the nightshade. So black, gold rims, blacked out front, blacked out pretty much everything. The sort of newer headlights that, well, once again, look like a batarang. And I just think this is, for a Corolla, for what it is, for where it's priced, and even in general, this is a cool looking car.
For a Corolla, I think for what it is, it looks really, really good. There, I hadn't paid too much attention to those. Do you call them gold? Do you call them bronze? Whatever color that is on
Right.
the rims until actually we started recording this podcast, and Andrew, you kept bringing them up all the time. I really do like them. They,
All
they,
the time.
you really bring these up a lot.
I know.
Your shoe game is strong, so I I think it looks good for a Corolla, but that doesn't win the competition. Like you don't or win whatever contest we're doing here. You don't win it by saying it looks good for what it is. Like it's got to just look good. Period. So I'm going to
That's
say
fair.
no.
All right.
Yeah, for me, weirdly, the Nightshade edition is part of the problem. Like, other than the wheels, having it all entirely blacked out hides a lot of the car.
Okay. All right.
I feel like it makes some of the cool stuff that they're trying to do harder to see. Weirdly
Sure.
enough,
It does come
um,
in white. I'm looking up pictures from dealerships. Like they're
It,
selling
it
white
does.
Nightshade editions
It does actually.
with the bronze
that's
rims.
funny. Kind of
And
see.
I think it looks better. You can see the lines of the car a little better, honestly. So the mirrors are black. The front grille obviously is black. I'm I, I'm guessing this doesn't show the interior, but if it's Nightshade, I'm guessing the interior is black on black on black. But then it's still got the bronzy, goldy rims, and it's a white car. I think
What
that
about
looks.
going back a little bit? The 2021 Corolla Apex Edition. That's what I
Let's see
that's
here.
what I actually pulled out when we were looking at the Corollas. And
Um,
that's something that it's not super old. It's a couple
okay.
of years back,
Sure. Yeah, that can be
but
it.
Ooh,
That's it's even nicer. I must have missed that.
for, first caption I see: 2021 Toyota Corolla Apex struggles.
Yeah.
yeah,
Not grounded to the ground.
Oh, it struggles to excite is the full.
Yeah, struggles to excite. Yeah. That's car and driver right there, by the way. We
Yeah,
didn't say that.
I do like how they. Is that same kind of bronzy color and that little winglet thing
Yes.
on the? Yes, that's
Yeah, in
a
the
nice
front
I
that
do
little.
like
yeah,
that.
that brown. Yeah, very cool.
That's a very nice little touch. I do like this better. Good pull, Tristan.
Yeah. It's better. Still not gonna beat that Evo 5.
No,
Woo.
it's not going to
No,
beat the Evo 5.
Woo.
nope.
The tall order. All right. Does anyone want to have a conversation involving the new Prius?
No.
Okay, just checking.
I mean, I don't know. Tristan, do you?
Uh, I mean, maybe I haven't even really looked at it.
You've
Um,
probably seen one, but you probably didn't think it was a Prius because they finally nutted up and made a car that looks like it's from the future.
oh yeah, no, I haven't seen one of these in person. It looks like, unfortunately, what it looks like the most to me is because the demo pictures are all in silver. It looks like somebody made a weird Prius Cybertruck crossover, and I don't like it.
Oh, damn it. All right. Moving right along. Okay. Let's bring out a big gun here. Let's see where we're at really with the Evo 5. And maybe we should have the conversation first here. I want to talk about a Civic Type R, but I will let you guys choose between 10th and 11th, the only two like American sedan versions of the Type R. Which one do you want to bring here? 10th or 11th?
Man, the 10th is so Gundam. It looks like a Gundam helmet. Like all the.
But it might almost be iconic for being the fastest front wheel drive sedan ever around the Nürburgring.
We're talking about looks here, right?
Yes.
So does the Nürburgring time matter?
No, but what I'm saying is that Gundamness of it, that ridiculous, bright yellow angles. Everything's a vent. Everything is, looks like it has a remove before flight pin on it. That look, not now because it's been such a short amount of time. Let's say there's another 2 generations of Type R. People could be looking back at this first one as not only the first, but one of the best and most iconic, the looks being iconic because of the deeds. You know what I mean? Not that it launched to great critical look acclaim, although I feel like I remember people liking it. It may improve because of the power and the potential of the car itself.
Yeah, I think they took a bigger chance with it, and when you like, I've got a great picture of them literally sitting side by side,
Yeah.
and the the new one has like a couple features I like. I feel like the wheel, like the flared wheel arches, are a little bit more obvious, kind of what we like in the fifth gen Evo. But then
Mm-hmm.
like the the whole lower third of the bumper where the fog lights would be, I can't even see if there are any. Um, you know, it's much more plain. Like here's just a bunch of plastic. Like you said, Andrew, like everything's a vent.
Yep.
Um, there's like 4 vents and then a vent next to the fog light and a vent above the fog light, and then yeah, it's like and then an actual like intercooler vent on the top, which being a Subaru fan, I'm a huge sucker for that. Um, so I feel like I like the 10th gen versus the 11th gen Type R because they kind of like hit it with the smoothing tool, you know,
Right.
Mhm.
and kind of
They
took some of the
did.
edges off it, made it maybe more better mass appeal, but I think that made it look worse for
Well,
me.
guys, here's the thing, right? Like the Evo 5 is pretty extreme.
Yeah.
So I'm almost talking myself back around. Like, while I think the Type R is the 10th gen Type R is kind of over the top, so is the Evo 5. So
True.
we can't have something bland actually contend, right?
I mean, I think you can because it's not about that. I think it's about how you wear it. And if, if it was to have been a competition between 11th gen Type R and 11th gen Civic, I might almost have given the Civic the edge because it's wearing what it is. I think I would go 10th simply because raw as fuck. It just looks cool.
It's something we've actually weirdly talked about, like with McLaren too, where it's
Mm,
like they like to achieve this goal, the car must look like this.
right.
And I think if there's some of that going on with the Type R, I think all the extra doodads and vents in the front are not quite right, um, but are not quite don't quite meet that standard, I should say. But you know the ridiculous size of the wing, the aggressiveness of the front splitter, that kind of thing. It has to be that way to achieve what they wanted to achieve with it.
Yeah, I would agree.
If
So
we're
yeah, I'm
talking
on 10th.
10 if we're talking 10th versus 11th Type R, I'll take the 10th. If we're
Yeah.
talking 10th Type R versus Evo 5,
Yeah,
not
that's
so
that's
sure.
next. So
Yes.
10th gen Type R versus Evo 5 is kind of really hard. Oh, oh man, this is hard.
I'm still gonna go Evo 5.
You're still gonna go Evo 5.
That's
Oh,
quick.
oh.
It's a quick decision.
But what about the 10th gen in yellow?
Fifth, Evo 5, white and black.
Man. Man.
This one's really hard. This one's really hard.
So
I
Andrew, let's start here. 10th gen Type R versus your Elantra N-Line. Like, let's maybe
Ooh,
do a force rank. So let's say that if the Evo 5 is 1
Yep.
and your N-Line is 2, would you slot this in above your N-Line?
I got to pull the N-Line here. Hold on.
Because I don't know if I would.
I don't think I would either. I don't
So
think
there you
I
go.
would.
That answers your
No.
question.
All right, yeah. So then, yeah, we're on Evo 5. Still king.
Agreed.
This one's hard. That's gonna be really hard to knock off. Oh, all right. So I think we have more easy cleanup duty here. Is anyone going to make an argument for the third gen BMW 3 Series or any BMW 3 Series? In fact,
Of the ones that are available, my contender would actually be the E46.
That's the 4th gen. So 1997.
Ah, yes, the Scoopy Doodle headlights. I don't know. What'd you call them?
The E46 is a 2000 to 2006.
Okay.
Not the E36.
Sorry, my mistake.
Yeah,
that's not gonna be.
Because no, but I think it's better than the 5th gen or the 3rd gen, and I still don't think it's enough.
Yeah. I mean, I love some crisp angle. I love some flame surfacing. That's not enough. That's not.
No, it's nice. I wouldn't mind having one. A 5th gen or a 6th gen, to be honest with you. I mean, sorry, 4th gen or a 6th gen, but it's not gonna. I don't think it holds up to the Evo.
First gen. Well, while we're in Germany, first gen CLA.
I really like this car. I think a lot of people hate it, but maybe that's because of what it is more than how it looks. I think in terms of look, it's right in between a Venn diagram that I didn't really know existed. On the left hand side is fun, and on the right hand side is classic. I don't know. Yeah, there's something about it that is quite appealing in a cute way. I think this just gets crushed by the Evo 5.
I think the biggest issue for me is that every picture, it looks okay in person, but every picture I could find of it, it looked slightly bent.
It looks like a dolphin jumping out of the water from every angle.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
It does. That's a really good analogy.
That's the better way of describing it, especially because all the pictures I can find of it are gray.
Well, Mercedes do be like that, but yeah. It's porpoising. Okay. I think that's what that's actually called. Mm-hmm.
What's your business, porpoise?
Yeah. I know this is it's a sedan contest. I will say the CLA shooting brake looks really good.
I mean, that would
yes,
I would be willing to do a shooting brake / wagon version of this, but I have no I have no current decision on what would be the best one. I don't have a starting point. There's so many good looking hatchbacks and shooting brakes and wagon.
If we're just looking at sedans, no, the CLA will not do it
for sure. While we're doing weird cars that I added to this list just because I like them, anyone have any strong feelings about this? Is a car that it seems weird. All right, seems weird. Let me just Volvo S40. That was the 2nd gen post facelift, so that very squarish, very not angular, but like that kind of smoothed early 2000s angle, but it does not have the washer spindles on the front headlights. And it's clean. That's what I like about the S40. It just looks clean. Front, from the back, from every angle, it's just pleasant, like you would expect from a Volvo.
Do you know what it looks a lot like?
Tell me.
B6A4.
That's exactly right. It does. It looks exactly like that.
Which is also on this list.
Yeah.
And I like it for all the same reasons. I think those mid B series A4s are some of my favorite cars of all time. Just all around. And it comes back to something that I mentioned before, like they're just solidly designed cars. It doesn't look immensely old, even if you go back to like the B4s. Like they're not new, but they don't look like they're from like the mid 90s.
Right.
They're like those
Absolutely.
are 30 year all coming up on 30-year-old cars now. And
Mm-hmm.
they just don't look that old. And
Yeah.
I think that's their superpower, is that they look good and they stay looking good for a long time, but they're never going to be aggressive enough to be at the top of the heap even when they're brand new. And that's what I'll say about the S42 is I like it. It still looks good. But it's never going to take the risks necessary to step to the top.
I think we would all pick the B6 over the S40
Yes.
for sure.
I would,
All right.
obviously.
That's what we got here. We can go right into talking about the B6A4 because as this is specifically about trims, I started with the A4, which I really like. The S4 from that generation, the B6, I don't necessarily like more. But the RS4 B6, when we continue to climb the ladder a little bit, and of course, Tristan, your dad's uh, A8 had a similar thing. When you bulge the front end to put a fat engine in it and give it, like the only other change you make to the car is two little slashes on the front bumper. That's pretty hard. That's pretty cool. I like
Yeah. I will when we're talking about that, in a lot of the same ways that you talked about the N-Line Elantra.
it. Mm-hmm.
um, the I was looking at similar things, and the B4, sorry, B5 S4, got a lot of letters here. The B5 S4 um, is, I think, a great example of, like, I don't think it would beat the N line now, but I feel like they looked at that as a lesson in what to do. They took
Sure.
they took the regular B5 A4 and now add a little spice. Like it's got that weird like ducktail trunk
Yes.
lid that the
Uh-huh.
Mm-hmm.
regular ones didn't have. Like you can tell something special about it, and that may be one of my favorite cars of all time that I will hopefully find and drive one day. Um, uh, hopefully, kind of like my dad's, where you find it in 10 years from now and you can get it for 5 grand.
Right, of course.
um, but I think it's something that it has a lot of the same qualities that we were talking about with why we liked the N-Line Elantra. um, it just makes you feel a little special. It's not an RS4 where it's over the top, and some of them had like the chrome rear view mirrors and everything else,
Right.
like,
Mm-hmm.
but just like here's a little extra for you. And I would put that in the competition, but again, I still think that is a far closer second than anything that we've talked about so far, but it's a very close second to our current leader. But that would fit right in spot number 2 for me.
Well, I mean, we can do that. So we can do B6 RS4 versus B5 S4, and then put our winner up against the Evo 5 and see where we land.
Yeah,
I
I'm looking
yeah.
at him right now.
Mm,
I would still take the B5 S4 between
okay,
between that and the B6 RS4.
fair enough. Nick,
Now, like visually, now God, was that B6 RS4 just the fastest thing with 4 rings on it for a while? It was ridiculous. Like,
completely ridiculous.
great. It was great. It was a great car, but I think visually B5 S4 over a B6 RS4.
Andrew, you might have to be the deciding vote on this. I'm going B6.
All right, okay. So Tristan's very convincing in his arguments about the B5 S4, but what actually sells it to me, and I will go with the B5 S4, is that little spoiler. It's just
Just it's a little ducktail.
a little kick up right at the end, just a little bah. It's just right there, and also
Oh, bah.
the size of the color of the calipers on the front. Oh my god, what is that?
Yes.
8 pistons? Holy hell! It's half the wheel.
And it is It is the reddest brake caliper.
Yeah, that's
Yeah.
Brembo, baby.
Yep.
Well, all
Brembo,
right.
baby.
Should we put this up directly against the Evo 5, or should we take our other diversion to the other German on the list, which is the current gen RS5? This was where it gets a little tough because in the time since sedans came out and I guess became popular, there's been a lot of fracturing. So the A4 is probably the closest. S5 isn't that much bigger. Was it originally only a coupe, Tristan?
I think so.
And then they did the whole uh they had a name for it. Oh damn. When they
Sportback.
yeah, Sportback or something like that. Anyways, the current gen RS5, oh, it looks so good, and the green. Anyways, my opinion, we should do Audi, and then go from there and see.
I would take the current Gen RS5.
Over the D5 S4.
Yes.
What about you, Tristan?
As much as it pains my nostalgic heart to say so, I would agree.
Yeah, and I would do it as well. Wow. Okay, this one's going to be really hard. We haven't mentioned our leader in a while now because we've been talking about great-looking Audis. Remember, we're talking about Lancer Evo 5, a car from the late 90s, now putting up against the current gen Audi RS5. I'm going to need some more pictures of the RS5 because I did this in my mind. This is going away, and I need to make sure that it's the right decision before I keep going. The one thing I will say against the current gen RS5, I like the plainness of the back. I really enjoy it, except for when it gets to the bottom. There's a bit of mesh work done kind of between the tailpipes, which look excellent. And I don't know why, but to me it just looks out of place.
Hmm.
It's the
It
only thing I'll
looks
say
like they
against
could
it.
have done. It looks like they could have done a better job with, like, if you look at the front bumper and some of the angles around the splitter underneath the grill,
Mm-hmm.
they could have tried a little harder to emulate that and kind of mimic it in the back, kind of mirror it instead of just
Yes,
going straight.
exactly
Um,
that. That's a good point.
I do like this better than the Evo 5. I'll be the first to
Yeah.
put in my vote.
Oh,
Yeah, me too.
Yeah.
I do too.
I
All
opened my
I
right.
do
mouth at the
too.
same time as you did.
I do too. I can nitpick it to say some bullshit about a lot. I don't care. This thing looks amazing. It's brilliant. It's beautiful. Look at that. Look at that. From every angle, it's just gorgeous. All right. That means we have a new king of the hill. Audi RS5, the right now version. And guess what? We only got 3 left on my list. There's only 3 left. And I think this will be taken care of pretty quickly. First one, the next challenger, I'll say, is one of my personal favorite cars, a car I always wanted to own, a car I always loved the looks of, Lexus IS Gen 1.
Is that the 200? IS 200?
Sorry, yes, the Lexus IS 200.
Yeah, that's a gorgeous.
Or, sorry, 300.
Oh, the 3.
Hold on. Altezza. Lexus, how could you do this?
Original Lexus IS 300. Yes,
Yeah,
this thing is badass.
yeah, that's the one. I don't know why I like this. It's so, I don't know. It's not even that exciting looking. There's something about it though.
I was looking at this earlier and I was gonna. That's the same thing I thought of. Is like, I don't know why I like it. I just do. Like,
Yeah,
something about it.
I think it fell into that generation where I wasn't really paying attention to those kinds
right.
of cars. I was all caught up in my my Audidom, and it slipped by me, so there's no nostalgia factor. I think it's a solid car, but it doesn't move me the way it moves you two.
That's fair.
I
So
don't
here's
think
what
it
I will
holds up to the
say.
RS5 though.
Oh, I
No,
mean,
no.
no, it doesn't hold the count. The only thing I will say about the IS300, because it's kind of an odd note, I wonder if the reason why I like it is because it had a wagon and nothing had a wagon, and you know what I mean. Like that's why I like. I don't know. It's a very, again, clean looking car, very almost like you could make a couple changes and drop it into current traffic and people wouldn't look too hard. But I think, yeah, it's not beating RS.
You can get
Is
them
that the
for
one
under
with
$5,000.
the little Pikachu red dots on its butt? Is that the one we're talking about?
Pikachu red dots on its butt. Yes.
Yeah, yes, yes, yes. I
Next to the license plate mount. Yes.
I
Yeah,
didn't
probably
understand what you
never
were
heard it
saying.
described that way and had no idea what I was saying, but
I
okay,
didn't
we're on the
understand what you're
same
saying.
page now.
We are on the same page now. Yes, exactly that.
So you can get one of these 2001 IS300 base for $4,950. There's one for
Well, yeah,
sale in New York.
I can't imagine. Not a lot of people keeping the Altezza around, as it was known in other countries. For
Link in
And the
chat. It's actually not bad. It's got a ton of miles on it, obviously, but it's not
yeah,
bad.
no minty fresh IS300s.
right. No,
No,
this, I mean, it's not beating. It's not beating the RS5. Speaking of cars that are not beating the RS5, the Lexus GS fourth gen, which is just a worse version of the car we just talked about.
Right, bigger and slightly less interesting.
Yeah,
there you go.
work. We're getting real close to the end here, boys. I have brought one more knife to this gunfight, which would be the Saab 9.3 second gen. It's just not
Nope.
like that.
I have a weird affection for them, but no.
Yeah. Which leaves our king of the hill, a murderously difficult challenge.
quite the hill.
Yeah, the RS5. Oh, I guess they call this a hatchback, but you can't listen.
Sportback.
They call
Sportback.
this a hatchback. You can't depend on that to win. This is a sedan, boys, and what a glorious sedan it is. So, again, just in case people don't know, Nick, tell the people what you did.
Yeah, I was to say, before you declare this the all-out winner, this is the part in the wrestling match where all the lights in the arena all of a sudden just turn off, and a new challenger enters the ring. So since we had last recorded, I think the last time we recorded, I had gone on a rant about how terrible the insurance company was because my wife, thankfully, again, she's okay, but her Hyundai was totaled. So we were that, now that we finally got the insurance check and everything sorted out, we were almost dead set on a we were dead set on a K5 GT line. So basically, Andrew, the Kia version of your car.
Right.
Until I got a notification that an Elantra N, a used 22 Elantra N, was for sale at the Hyundai dealership 10 minutes from my house.
Mm-hmm. Oh, what a shame.
So I told Claire, we have a number. I'm going to stick to the number. I'm not going to go over, but I would not be a car guy / car podcast host if I didn't do my due diligence and go look at this thing.
That's right.
Because it's like the only used Elantra N for sale in the entire fucking state. It's like one of 4 in the country at the time that was showing up for sale.
Yeah.
So we went and looked. As expected, it was just incredible. Just everything about it was awesome. It's the competition blue with the red trim, the whole deal. And I told the guy, look, I just needed to check it out. Here's what we want to put down. Here's how much we want to pay a month. If you can't make that work, thank you for your time. I'll walk. And he was like, well, I'll go check. There's a guy calling us from New York State who's ready to fly in and pick it up in the next couple of days. And he gives me this runaround. He finally goes, talks to the finance guy, comes back, and he's like, he wasn't close to the monthly payment number we were looking for. And I said,
Yeah.
well, you better call your buddy in New York, but thanks for the time. And he's like, wait. He's like, you'll buy this car tonight if we can make that number work. I'm like, well, yeah, that's what I told you 20 minutes ago before you wouldn't talk to your numbers guy. Like,
You have
yes,
ears?
like that's literally what I just told you guys. So he's like, okay. So he came back and it wasn't to the dot, but it was within like $15 a month.
Hey.
So it hadn't been on the lot long enough to even get portered. So we didn't leave that night, but 2 days later we did go pick up a Hyundai Elantra N, and we have it in our garage right now. So that is the challenger here, the surprise challenger. Hyundai Elantra N versus the RS5 Sportback.
I have a window open here with the Hyundai 360 spin of the N, and I'm just spinning it around.
All the stuff you said yours was missing, Andrew, like on the back with the room for the triangle, and the fact that the dual exhaust was on one side. Well, in the N, it comes out opposite. There's one on either side. The triangle is there. Like
there are only 3 things that I don't love about this car. The first one is something that I did used to love, but it's kind of, I don't love the red lining around it. I get why it's there for sure, but you know, and it's the same thing with the spoiler. Like, I totally understand why both of those things are the way they are. I just prefer the little lip. Maybe it would be nice if there was just like one red line kind of back the way it was. But and the third thing is, I wish the grill was the tighter pattern of the N-Line, but again, there's probably a giant brick intercooler behind that, so you figure you want better airflow.
It is. There's a massive intercooler there.
Oh yeah.
and there's also an electric fan. Like, this thing, it sounds like you shut it off and get out and you're walking in the house and it still sounds like a jet taking off as you
Mine will do that on hot days. I'm trying to figure out if I'm doing that thing right now that I was doing with the RS5, or I'm just saying shit but ultimately doesn't matter. But the problem is, I'm extremely biased. I wanted to buy this exact car, but then COVID happened and they stopped making them, and there just were none. And I ended up asking at my dealership when I happened to be there right as we're about to like truly shut down. They had N-Lines on the lot. I'd been in contact with the salesperson there for months about this car since I saw it launch. Said, the second you're going to get one of these, call my phone. Call this specific number when you know you're getting one. Didn't hear from her, kept asking for updates. I was watching like shipping news about fucking Hyundai. Ridiculous. Because I wanted this car so bad. And when I was there, she's like, look, we're probably not seeing one of these for another 9 months. They're just not there. Like, it's not there. It's not coming. However, we can give you 0% on an N-Line. And I was like, yes, let's do that. So I got the N-Line. There was never a chance for me to get an N. So it's not like, I should have just paid the extra whatever. No, there's never a shot for me to get one of these. They did not exist in our hemisphere at that time. And so what it comes down to is, am I just doing that thing where I'm like, I don't like this, but it doesn't matter ultimately, because almost everything I said about the N-Line stands true with this. It's just that it's turned up exactly like we were talking about with the step from the baseline Elantra to the N-Line is the same as the step from the N-Line to the N, right? You get the extra edge, you get the extra aggression. What's
Mm-hmm.
important to remember here is that this is a vision of a car sporting damn near 300 horsepower and an equivalent amount of foot-pounds of torque. This is a ridiculously fast car.
It
So
is.
it should look like it.
It is a. It's a fast car. Like Claire is driving it right now because we also still have the Focus.
Yeah.
Which by the way, for someone in the position I am in life, in any way you take that statement, I don't know if there's a better garage that I could have right now than a Focus ST hatchback and an Elantra N. Like I am so
Facts.
lucky. I am so lucky right now.
That's great. It's brilliant. And no one, if you can find anyone on the planet to complain about that, they're cool.
Yeah, but to your point about the speed, Claire does have kind of a lead foot, so I am very concerned with that. Luckily, she's got a very short commute to work and back, where there's not a lot of
Yeah.
opportunity to get caught. But she, like, man, there may very well be a ticket if she takes this thing like on the highway sometime. um, to your point about the rarity, Andrew, the guy at the dealer we were talking with said, "Hey, look, we're the largest Hyundai dealer in the Midwest. I don't know how far that border goes out. If it goes down to Nebraska or if that just means Wisconsin, Illinois, Minnesota. I don't know what he means by that.
Yeah.
But he said, we are the largest Hyundai dealer in the Midwest. I've been here for over a year, and we have only gotten 2 of these new,
Yep.
like 2 from the factory, and they were both gone within 24 hours. And this one, which is the one I ended up going home with, is the first used one I've ever seen come back.
Yeah.
So they are hard to come by, which is another reason, like, I think I was able to sell Claire on it. Like, not only does it look cool and she drove it and she liked it, like, who wouldn't? But I'm like, hey, these are pretty rare. They're going to hold their value a lot better than a
True.
GT line. Like, they're going to be a collector piece after not too long.
And it
I
doesn't hurt
say,
when the race car version wins a shit ton of championships.
mm-hmm, no joke. So I'm biased because I own it, but I'm gonna say it's better than the RS5.
All right, Tristan, you got to shoot straight here. You got to be the one. We're both too invested.
Well, he's an
Yeah,
Audi guy, though.
yeah. Say I'm invested on the other side of the equation.
You
But
are.
no, I mean I think that mainly I'm agreeing with the stuff that you're saying, Andrew, where like it's just a bit too much in certain ways with like the spoiler and the red lining and everything else. Like don't get me wrong, like would I love to own one? Yes. Are they incredibly exciting? Yes. You know, but it's something that it just doesn't click with me the same way the S5 does. But again, is that my bias talking? I can't say. I'm trying to be objective because I really do like the Elantra N. Like Nick, Jessica, and I came over, and like Claire pulled in right in front of us, and I was like, "Damn, that is a good looking car." Like, so
Mm-hmm.
it's not that I don't appreciate that car. I just think I like the S5 a little bit better.
Oh man, this is really hard. It's a really hard.
I was just going through like number of things. Like we were nitpicking the S5
Yeah.
and this. Like ultimately, it comes down to which is nitpicked less, and it's like, well, I don't really like the rear fascia as much on the S5. That that was it. Like that's all that we talked about, and that's all I can
Right.
still think of. Versus like, I don't like this as much as I used to in this and this, and like I feel like there was more quibbling around the Elantra, and that's why I made the choice that I did.
The difficulty I have with the N is separating what I like about my specific car, which is this car minus 20% in terms of looks, versus what I would say about this car if I didn't drive what I currently drive. Because when I saw this car, and anytime I saw this car, up until really, not even that long ago, I had no faults to find with it at any point. But it's kind of the same with the RS5, even back a generation or two, right? It's just a glorious car. It's just beautiful. Oh my god, this is too hard. I really can't waffle any longer about it. Um, I don't know. I don't know. It's that close. It's
Indecision
really,
abounds.
it's that close. The the problem is I like both of them for exactly the same reason. I have one or two stupid things to say about each of them that don't matter ultimately. And it feels like it feels I'll be a brand loyalist if I go with the N.
You
Well, that's
will.
what I'm gonna do.
Ha
I think I just have to choose this because ultimately, while I do have more quibbles about it, they're only in comparison to what I drive now. If I look at this car in a more objective sense, I like it more because I like all of that stuff kind of on its own. I like a big grill. I like sporty redlining. I like spoilers. So that's what I got to go with.
You know what just happened? It's just like a WWE event.
Yeah,
The surprise
absolutely.
challenger comes in out of nowhere and ends up winning the whole thing.
Always, always. But I mean,
And
let me
then
let
because it's it's the WWE and they just want to do the narrative that they want to have and not reality, the referees are going to come in and say, "Well, it was never a fair fight anyway
right.
because it was a sportback. The S5 is a sportback or a coupe, so it had no reason to even be fighting in this discussion we have about
Right.
sedans. So they both win.
They
That's how
both,
this
they both,
works.
they both.
Yeah,
No, I mean, we discussed that before. You can't run away from it. The RS5 is what it is. You can call it a sportback, you can call it this. It's
It's
just
got
a
four
sedan,
doors.
and
It's
it's
awesome.
brilliant. It is. I'm trying to remember. It is so close for me. Ave, the YouTuber, used the phrase, "This is a blonde one." It is so close between these cars. It's yeah. It's just in my dreams. Here's the deciding fact. In my dreams, I'd be driving the N, not the RS5.
There you go. Well, hey, I just found one for sale in Toms River, New Jersey, at a Cadillac dealership. Andrew, if you
I mean,
want to
I
go,
still want this car. Don't get me wrong.
if you want to give them a call,
Yeah, I wish. Uh,
and ultimately, it's okay because looks are always a subjective thing. The fact that I would prefer the S or RS5, there's nothing wrong with either of those things.
no.
oh no, no, no,
Both
no, no.
good-looking cars. It's not like I said Aztec or something.
Well,
Like,
yeah, sure.
Then there would be something wrong.
yes, then there would be discussions to be had, but
I
But
mean, so yeah, we have a one king of the hill. There are many ways to determine a ranking or something like this. I feel like, I mean, I'll put it this way: Elantra N, RS5, and Evo 5 is a hell of a win place show. Ranking
yeah,
those three cars, that's crazy.
imagine having all of those in your garage.
Oh man, I
No
mean,
one would be dissatisfied with that.
no,
no, how
that
could
was a
you?
lot of fun. I had a lot of fun doing it.
This
Even
was a
though,
good
I
one.
mean, what are we doing this on a podcast for? It's not like it's a visual medium. But please, at the very least, everyone needs to do themselves a favor. If you're not familiar with these cars, and even if you are, refresh your memory. Evo 5, Elantra N, RS5, and every other car
Yeah,
we
at
talked
least
about in this
our
episode.
and at least our three winners will for sure go on social media, um,
Yeah.
and we'll see how many others we can find to post alongside. Um, as some of the competition. But at least the 3 winners will go on social media, so you'll know the hairs we're splitting to arrive at this decision.
For sure. And what are those social media platforms, guys? As long as we there, that's a really good transition.
Yeah.
Facebook is, you look up Check Engine Podcast, you can find us there. What about Twitter/X or whatever the hell it's called now?
Check Engine Pod. Is it back to Twitter now?
I don't
No.
know.
Oh. All
No,
right.
in fact, they're buying in more.
Okay.
And Threads and Instagram, because they're the same platform now, essentially, at Check Engine Pod.
And then who wants to read off the Mastodon one?
And then that is at Check Engine Podcast at mastodon.social.
There you go. So be sure to like, follow, share, post, DM, reach out how and when you can. You can ask us questions to answer on the air. Let us know what you like or dislike. Give us topic ideas. Give us your rankings of compact sedans. Do you agree with our top 3? Do you not? What did we miss? Let us know. Thank you in advance. While you're listening on whatever platform you're listening on, it'd be awesome if you could, just tap on our page on that platform and leave us a review, preferably a good one. And or hit that subscribe button that you see. It's free. You'll get notified of any new content we put out, which we should be doing more often these days, but we'll see what happens. If you're really into what we're doing and would like to support this podcast monetarily so we could get an Evo 5 and an
Oh
RS5,
my God! Right
an
for
Elantra
it.
Ns in our garage. You have 2
Everyone.
options for that for now. You can go to patreon.com/Check Engine Podcast or hit the support button on our homepage at Spotify for podcasters. We have not mentioned merch on this episode yet. That is because we're still having tech difficulties with that site. As soon as we get it up and running again properly, we will let you know. But for right now, you can go to patreon.com/Check Engine Podcast or the support button at Spotify for podcasters. Everything pledged is put toward making this a better experience for you. Guys, who or what are we shouting out before we turn the microphones off?
For me, it's just listeners, right? Because I mean, it's been a tough while. Things have been changing a lot. We're doing the best we can. I just hope people understand that the podcast is obviously important to us, but as we grow and evolve and get more responsibilities, it just becomes a little harder to do it as often as we want to, though we do want to. So for everyone who's listened to us for any amount of time, who's grown with us and hopefully kind of enjoyed seeing us evolve, maybe improve, maybe not, maybe stay the same, that's all fine. We just appreciate that you stuck with us for any amount of time, for an episode, 5 minutes. It doesn't matter, because ultimately we do this because we love to do it, but it's nice to know that anyone's out there listening.
Yeah, I don't know how you follow that up, Tristan. That was really good.
Yeah, right. I guess I could bring it a little more personal. I've actually got a couple double whammy here. And what's more, one of them is just very broad. So it's gonna be kind of a mess here. I'd like to thank everybody who has helped us with this house process. You guys have probably seen my dad flitting around in the background while this is being recorded. And we've received a tremendous amount of help from family, friends, etc., with skills that I do not, and in some cases may not ever have. And it's made it all, I would say, possible. I would go that far without spending immense amounts of money to bring in outside help. So thank you to everybody who's helped us with this process. And very specifically, I'd like to thank my co-host, Nick, with which I would be recording this on the built-in microphone on my laptop because all of my stuff is packed, and I don't have any of my podcasting equipment out anymore because I packed it up 4 weeks ago thinking I'd have a place to put it by now, and I still don't have carpet in my office, so I don't. So it's all still in a box. I borrowed one of his extra microphones so I can sound as good as I can for this episode. So thank you, Nick.
You are very welcome. I want to thank you and Jessica for moving as close as you did to make that process super easy.
There you
Give a
go.
thumbs up.
It was really great. Andrew, he texted me and said, I'll be there in 5 minutes.
Hey, that is cool.
Yep.
Hey, can I borrow a microphone? I can be there in 5 minutes. Okay.
And actually, if we'd stayed in Waukesha, it'd be pretty close as well. It'd be maybe like 6 or 7 minutes. It's just down the road there. Yeah, it's not that
Yeah, it
yeah.
would have basically been a triangle of sorts.
Yeah, I mean,
Good job, Andrew.
listen, things happen.
Yeah, good job. Way to pursue your life and career advancement and happiness.
You know what
That'll
is
teach
odd?
you.
But what's so weird to me, and it took my dad to point this out to me. To us, honestly, essentially every day, because so little in our life changed, other than I no longer have an hour commute into work. Visually, and from what we see and what we do, it's like we just moved to a neighborhood on the other side of Waukesha, and we are like no longer close to Pick and Save, and so we go to a different place. Like, it feels identical. It's so weird.
Well, you're further away than that. And you
Yeah,
ruined
yeah.
our podcasting triangle, and you should
Nick
be
with the
ashamed.
harshness.
No.
It's true. What a bummer.
No, thanks, Tristan and Jessica, for moving close. It's cool to get to interact with you guys way more often than we used to, or just once you guys get settled in, for sure, we can do that. Andrew already did an awesome job thanking the listeners, so I don't really need to thank them like he did there. We love hearing from you. We love recording this for you as often as we can. We can't wait to speak to you again, whenever that may be. Until we do, take care.